Welcome guys. Today we are talking about the 6 steps to writing a stellar introduction that keeps your reader wanting more, because that's the purpose of an introduction. Get them hooked and keep them hooked. I'm not really on vacation. I'm honestly traveling with my husband on his conference. We left the kids back in Houston and I'm going to get a lot of work done. I'm really excited. I never have this much time to concentrate, do some client work, do some writing, do some business strategy. It's going to be fantastic. But I don't want to forget about my scope plan, because I still have scope plans in the works for you guys. And all week we have been talking about the nitty-gritty of writing. So as we're going through all this stuff, if you need it written down, I take notes for you. I post notes at paperravenbooks.com/Periscope. So you can always go there. You can catch the notes that I put up and the replays and the transcripts too. So don't worry. Let's see who we got in the room. You all come on in. Let me know your name and where you're tuning in from and what you write. I would love to know what you write. That's my favorite thing to talk about. Books or blogs or something in between. Alright, sorry, the music's distracting me. I'm going to turn it off. Okay, so let's jump right in. Actually, wait, first a couple of Periscope housekeeping stuff. So if you're new and I say something that you like or resonates with you or you want to hear more of, tap the screen for hearts. And that lets me know that you're engaged and paying attention and that what I'm talking about is valuable to you. Oh, thanks guys, thanks. If you're not already following me and you love to hear about writing and ways to improve your writing and stay motivated throughout your writing process, hit the little Perry dude down there, change that plus to a check, and then you'll follow me. And feel free to share with your friends too. If you have any writer friends who would benefit from knowing how to write an awesome introduction, that would be fantastic. So I am Morgan Gist McDonald. I'm a writing coach and an editor of nonfiction writing. I'm also an author, and I help authors write their books from vague idea to first draft to finished manuscript, and everything in between. Help them figure out what to write and how to write it and keep them motivated through the process. So that's what I do. And today we're talking about introductions. So if you missed Monday and Tuesday, you can go to paperravenbooks.com/Periscope. On Monday we talked about how to come up with the idea for your book and how to plan for writing. So that's really important. Hey Courtney, welcome, welcome. Yesterday we were talking about 5 best practices for writing, and then today we're getting to the intro. And the reason we do the intro, hey Courtney, the reason we do the intro last, and we're covering it last, and you also write it last, because the intro is what sets the stage so that the reader knows what to expect in the book. But how can you set the stage for the book when you don't even know yet what really the book is going to unfold and look like? So you write the book, and then you can do the intro. Same thing goes for any length of writing though. Blog post, write the blog post first, and then put the intro sentences on first. If you write an essay or an article or a thesis or dissertation, whatever, you write the body first and the conclusion, and then you go back into the intro. So the intro is really, really important because it's the very first thing that your reader is going to encounter. And so you have to do several really strategic things to make sure that the reader is immediately hooked and wants to keep reading. That's the whole point. It's like the title draws them in and makes them intrigued, and then the introduction convinces them that this is going to be worth reading, and then you can start to lay out the whole argument in the body of the blog or article or book or whatever it is. So what do we need to do? I have 6 steps for you. We're going to go through them once. I'm going to kind of recap halfway through and recap at the end. So hopefully we won't get lost, but if you do get lost, paperravenbooks.com/Periscope. Okay, number 1, do not get hung up on the first sentence. This is, we all do this, but the first sentence can be rewritten later. A lot of people they want to come up with like the perfect first sentence, and so they just sit there staring at the screen, typing a few words and then backspacing, and then typing a few words and then backspacing. Just write something lame, acknowledge that it's lame, and then move on with the rest of the intro. Number 2, talk about the problem that you see related to your topic. So this is, and I should caveat this is all geared towards nonfiction writing. There may be some parallels with fiction, but I'd have to talk to a fiction writer. So talk about the problem that you see related to your topic. So let's say you write about the importance of educating girls in science. The problem you see is that girls are not interested in science from elementary on up, and therefore we don't have very many women engineers. Or maybe you write about religion and the community, and the problem you see is that people aren't setting aside time to be involved in like a church or a religious group. So flesh out whatever problem you see. It could be related to, you know, education or religion or environmentalism or, I mean, gosh, anything. History, like the way that we view history, the way that, I mean, travel, it could be related to anything. There's always a way to frame a problem. You want to flesh it out, and you want it to feel painful to the reader. You want the reader to acknowledge that, yes, this is a problem worth talking about and thinking about and writing about. So talk about the problem. This is number 3. Tell your reader the vision that you have for the world where this problem is solved. So if you were talking about girls who are not encouraged in science, what does the world look like if girls are encouraged in science and become engineers? If you feel like religion and people giving time to religious communities is not happening and that's a problem, what does the world look like if we have tight-knit, cohesive religious communities that feed people's souls? You know, be a beacon of optimism. Like, be the light shining in the darkness, and say, hold up this image for your reader and say, this is what life could look like. And be optimistic. You know, I think that the world has enough pessimistic realists. This is the time in your manuscript where you should be very optimistic, and then later on in your post or thesis or book, you can sort of counterweight it and say, okay, well, yes, we want to be very optimistic, and here are the challenges, but right now, in the intro, optimism will set the tone for the book. Number 4, give the reader just a little bit of your own story. Tell the reader a little bit why you care about this problem and why you're investing time to solve it. Because we all have a backstory. There's always a reason why we're interested in a topic. You know, maybe it's because, you know, maybe you were a girl who was interested in science and went on to be an engineer. Maybe you were like going into seminary or something and you didn't complete it because there were no tight-knit religious communities. These are just random examples, but we always have a reason why we are personally invested in a story. And even in really serious or academic or scholarly nonfiction writing, your reader is still a human. Your reader still wants to know why you are writing about this and why you care so much. So even if it's just like a paragraph, or for a book maybe a couple paragraphs, give them just a small slice of your story and why you care. Okay, so we've said don't get hung up on the first sentence. Talk about the problem you see. Tell your reader the vision you have for a world where that problem is solved. Give the reader a tiny slice of your story. Tell the reader, this is number 5, tell the reader how she will be personally impacted by the book. She or he, whatever. So what does this book, same goes for blog post or thesis, what does this book give to your reader? Is it a step-by-step guide? Is it inspiration? Is it, you know, wisdom from the field? Is it, you know, a shift in perspective? Like, what will the reader get through reading this book? Is it there's always a transformation, always. Even in the most serious and hard nonfiction, the reader always has some transformation. Go ahead and tell them in the introduction what that transformation is going to be, so that they can look forward to it. And hopefully they already want that transformation, and so they will be eagerly diving into the book. And then number 6, keep your writing reader friendly, especially in the intro. So that means keep your tone conversational, keep the sentences fairly short, and keep the jargon to a minimum. So this goes for any kind of writing, scholarly, whatever. The introduction is where you really need to pull your reader in. This is the best place to be conversational because it's almost like you are, you're inviting the reader in. We're kind of like, okay, let's get comfortable. Let's talk about this. You can dive into the nitty-gritty and the references and the footnotes and whatever and the jargon later on. The intro is the place to be welcoming and to show them that you're a real person who cares about this real problem and that you are acknowledging that the reader's a real person who also cares about this problem. So keep all of your sentences short. And by short, I mean 20 to 30 words at a max. So you can actually use like a word, highlight the sentence, and do like tools, word count, whatever. Once you start hitting like 40 words, sentences are way too long, especially for an intro. And keep the tone conversational. What does a conversational tone look like? It means you're not using a lot of phrases, you're not using a lot of commas, you're not using a lot of like lots of prepositions tend to be an indication that your sentences are getting too long and clunky. So if you find yourself including lots of those prepositional phrases like of and with and by and to, and you may have 3, 4, 5 prepositions in one phrase, that tends to be an indication that you're making your sentences too long and windy. So here in the intro, we want them to be short, tight, and friendly. So those are my 6 tips for an introduction that will really bring your reader in. Because think about it. Okay, so, well, the first one is don't get hung up on the perfect sentence. You can always come back around to it. That's just to get you writing. Talking about the problem. Getting the reader emotionally connected with your topic. And getting the reader to say, yeah, you know what, that is a problem. Telling the reader your vision for how the world looks when that problem is solved is getting that energy and that optimism, pulling the reader in to say, we can solve this together. That's essentially the vibe that you're giving off, is one of empowerment. And readers, people, humans, are just really drawn and attracted to that kind of optimism. A little bit of your story. We are humans. We can't, even if we don't want to admit it sometimes, we love story. And we love to know that the author truly cares about their topic. And of course, a reader wants to know how they're going to be impacted by the book. They just do. They want to know that this book is worthwhile, or blog post, or thesis, or dissertation, or whatever. So that's what I have for you guys today. I think that if you could stick to those tips and write a short, powerful introduction, that is really the key to getting people to commit to going ahead and reading the rest of your post, thesis, dissertation, or book. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know. Tomorrow, what are we talking about tomorrow? Tomorrow we are going to talk a little bit more about titles. Let's talk about titles tomorrow, because titles are also really important for giving the reader a good idea of what your book is about and whether it is worthwhile. And titles can be very intimidating for people. So if you want to tune in for tomorrow's, hit that little Perry buddy down there, change that plus to a check, and then you'll be following me. And you can always catch the replays at paperravenbooks.com/Periscope. So you guys are very quiet today. It's probably partly because I'm really not on my normal scope schedule, but that's okay. So I'm on California time instead of Central time, so I'll probably be scoping a little bit later in the afternoon than you guys are used to, but I'll still be here, and we will talk some more tomorrow. So in the meantime, go do some writing, put that introduction last on your list, go ahead and finish whatever it is you're writing, and then circle back and do this intro. And that'll be the easiest and best way to write an introduction that pulls your reader in. Alright guys, well have a good afternoon, and I will talk to you later. Bye.